soup beans, which I grew up calling pinto beans, and cornbread, and actually this is 15 bean soup, isn't it? Yeah, and artichoke hearts on top. Scrubby shower, check. Hello, this is your friend Patty with Giddy Things, and I'm back for day 260 of our 5-minute in-name only exercise encouragement. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. The disembodied voice is doing one of the things that we dislike probably most intensely, that he does for both himself and for himself and the handy helper, which is to do the pills for the week, the medications, the supplements. I like that for the week. Like I said, I've had a scrubby shower. As you can tell, my hair is up for my roots to dry. Yeah, it's been a good day. I have been super tired and recovering from my Zepbound 7.5 injection on the Friday. Today is a Monday. I worked today getting things wrapped up for the semester. Can you believe that? It seems like just yesterday we were talking about the beginning of the semester. Getting that stuff wrapped up, thinking about designing a new class. I have a new class to design. That's going to be fun and hard, but fun. And those two things can happen at the same time. What else, disembodied voice? Anything else interesting that we need of note? I got my paperwork for the endocrinologist today to fill out. I think that's who's going to be handling more on that, but that's, I think, who's going to be handling my Zepbound. I also asked my primary care physician's office to write me a new prescription so that I could go all the way back down to 2.5 on terzepatide, which is what I'm using right now, brand name in the vial with a syringe, Zepbound. And they sent that to Eli Lilly for me. We're going to see if I need it to be there, though, because I'm hoping that the insurance is going to cover it. And in that case, they can just prescribe it to me, send it to the pharmacy, and everything will be fine. I hope that's what's going to happen. But the 7.5, I mean, I'm not pointing fingers, but I already said this before in another video, and I'm not going to belabor the point, but shouldn't have been off of it for a full month and then gone back on at that dosage. I just didn't want to have to start over. But once I was sick enough, I'm happy to start over. Sometimes that has to happen, right? That is a perfect example, isn't it, disembodied voice, of mad britches, glad britches, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the most valuable things that my sainted, beloved, fierce mother taught me, was that people can get, including yours truly, can get glad in the same britches they get mad in. And I heard that a lot growing up. If she sensed that my little temper, not little, was engaging, or if I seemed harumph about something, or if other people did, and I was like, oh, Mama, they're not happy about that, they're mad about that, she would say, well, they can get glad in the same britches that they got mad in. And so that was one of the most valuable lessons, because you think about how philosophical that is, really, and how much of, I'm trying to find the word that I'm looking for, but I'm tired. I've been using words a lot today. Just the philosophical webbing and outreach of that idea, right? That we need to be content. And my mama spent a lot of time in her life forestalling mad britches by just staying in glad britches. And that is a wonderful example that she set for all of us. And not everybody paid attention to that example. And not everybody took it in and started to practice it right away. I certainly didn't. But I do now. And it makes life a whole lot better. Because at the end of the day, and this is something I've been meaning to say about all the Zepbound stuff to you, my friends, I've said it to the disembodied voice. I try not to harp on this to my kids too much, or my students, because it's something that you have to find out for yourself, I think, to get comfortable with it. And here's what it is. People don't really care that much about you. I mean, I do, right? I care a lot about you. I care a lot about everybody. I'm a nurturer. I'm an empathetic person. But the world in general will beat you black and blue if you think that it cares, right? And I know I'm probably preaching to the choir. Y'all know that. Individual people care a lot, a lot, a lot. You are loved by so many people. And those are the people we really need to be serving and being present for, because those are the people who invest in us. And I think a lot of times we spend our energy and our time on people who are not investing in us. One of the best stories that anyone has ever told me to drive that idea home practically, and just to give us a sense, it's important to know that you're special. It's important to know that you're important because you are valuable. But it's also important to know that the world at large isn't really paying attention to that idea. And so my one of my mentors in my higher education career, Dr. Poole, told me this. Because I was making a decision about whether or not I was going to move into a different job and move away from the institution where I worked at the time. And I loved it. I loved the people there. I had so many friends there. It wasn't my hometown, but it was hometown adjacent. And so I knew a lot of the people. One of the people I worked with there is a dear friend still. Several of the people there are dear friends still. And I still have fond feelings about the people I've lost touch with as well. But, even though I said, y'all, this was so funny, and I promise I'm not going to go all full scale attention deficit right now, but it was so funny because I accidentally said, somebody came up to me, someone I was very fond of, when I had to announce that it was a whole rigmarole, y'all. When I had to announce that I was leaving the college, that's a whole different Oprah. But when I did, somebody came up to me, and a lot of people did this, and said, we're really going to miss you. And I said, I'm going to miss some of you too. And I didn't mean it to come out that way. It was true, though. And I don't think they were very surprised, because I've never really been shy about speaking my mind. But it wasn't, like calculated or anything. It was the truth. Not everybody you work with, you love them all and you wish the very best for everyone, but not everybody with whom you work, go to church, go to school, shop at the grocery store, is your cup of tea on a companion basis, right? So, but I have worked with so many lovely people that I love. But Dr. Poole said to me, when I said, I got this offer and it was from the Washington Post, y'all, and I got this offer from the Washington Post to teach for them, to write curriculum for them and stuff. And so I was like, I turned it down when they offered. I had been working for them part-time. And she was like, why did you do that? And I said, well, my boss at the time, I said, she's going through a very difficult time. Many members of her family are ill, and some of them are in really bad shape. And this is not a good time to leave the department. And I was in the Division of Arts and Sciences then too. And I said, it's just not a good time to leave the department, because disembodied voice needs to get in bed, y'all. And I'm sitting on the covers. Because she's going through so much, and she was my supervisor before she was my friend, but she became my friend very quickly. I loved her very much. Sorry, y'all, about all that stuff, but I was sitting on the covers and impeding the disembodied voice from getting in bed. And so I said, I can't leave right now. It just wouldn't be good. And she just looked at me, and I went, do you think I did the wrong thing? And Dr. Poole said, no, I don't. I think you did the right thing, but don't do it again. I was like, okay. She said, let me tell you a little story for the next time they offer you a job, because I really think they will. She said, so she was a microbiology professor at the same institution, and they're not thick on the ground, right? Especially when you get like regional. We were in, I've forgotten where it was now, the ArcLaTex, right? Where Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas meet. And there were people who were microbiologists there. We had a lot of medical care and a lot of science going on there with the LSU Medical Center and stuff. But not many of them wanted to teach, right? Because there's a lot more money for microbiologists in other areas. She loved teaching. She's such a talented teacher. And she wanted to move up at the same college where we were, got an opportunity to do so. And she said, I absolutely drove myself over the bend thinking about who will take my place? Who will teach these students? Who's going to be able to pick this up? Because we had a lovely nursing program at that school too, just like we do at the school with which I work now. She's like, I'm just so like, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let the students down. I don't want to put the department in a bind and all these things. And she said, the day I finally decided to do it, and she said, the day that the news got out, that it was official, that I was going to move up into this other position and that I would be, relinquishing my teaching position. She said that very day there were 12 people in the office of her department waiting to apply for that job, wanted to get ahead of the application process. 12 people. And she said, what that really taught me is go do what you're going to do. You're not the only one of you professionally that there is, but you're the only one of you for your family, your friends, and all the people you've yet to meet who love you. And you need to take care of that part most of all. And that kind of circles back to that idea of giving the people who are the most invested in you most of your investment, because you can't be everything to everybody. People pleasing will drive you absolutely up a wall. And what Dr. Poole taught me was so valuable. Again, there's those nuggets of wisdom that you pick up and go, I'm going to keep thinking about that and using it as I move forward in my career and in my life. Did you have something you wanted to say, Disembodied Voice?
These ginger things are hot.
Those ginger candies are hot, huh? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, those are the ones I got you from. Are they hot? You don't like them?
I'm not going to spit it out.
He's not going to spit it out, but it's apparently very, very hot. I found them I'm glad I didn't save them now. I was actually going to save them either for your birthday, which has just happened, or for Christmas. Then I was like, I'm not going to save them. I'm just going to give them to him because I know we use ginger to help our stomachs when our stomachs are upset. And so but I didn't know it was going to be that hot. I got it at, I got those. It's a big bag of them too. Maybe I'll send them off to Pen Pals and tell them this is hot. Be aware.
I think you hate them.
No, I don't want them to be. But some people like that kind of stuff. Some people like that level of spice.
But if you get somebody who doesn't.
That's true. That's true.
Like, she hates me.
No, well, what if I warned them first, though?
But then that's even worse.
Is it worse? Because, okay, apparently so. Apparently so. We'll leave it at that. But he's fire breathing over it now, so that's what it is. So thank you for hanging out with us. Weenie. You're not an English weenie. Stop that very much. Stop that. Oh, Mom and Dad, Nana and Granddad got their presents today. Did I already tell you what? Yeah, I did tell you what it was because I remember asking the Disembodied Voice, is Nana going to watch this? But they were so happy. Y'all, we picked well. Once people get into their 80s, it's hard once people get into their 50s, their 40s, their 50s, to give them stuff they don't already have or that they just couldn't get for themselves if they wanted to have it. But I think we really knocked it out of the park this time. And I love bringing them some unexpected joy, something they just didn't know was going to happen and it just showed up. And they were so happy. And, those cookies are not in our house, which is the important part, right? But yeah, so as we say in the South, I ain't going to keep you too much longer. You remember how special you are. Please do continue to remember how loved you are. I know I said that thing earlier about, the world in general doesn't care. But there are tons of people who love you and care about you in a way that is valuable to get invested in them the way they're invested in you. And you may already be there with them. And that's such a blessing. I told the big brother over the weekend that the only thing that makes life easier is having God and people who love you. Right. That's it. And on that, please remember how much I love you. Please do go with me in peace and love to serve others. Pray for the whole wide world with a special intention for Ukraine.